Hello, my name is Sankho, and I graduated with a BTech in AI from IIT Hyderabad 2 years back. And in those last 2 years, I have successfully landed a tech job and quit it last year. But I'll tell you more about that later. But what I want to say, in this brief 24 years that I have been here, I have had a lot of dreams in my life, dreams that seemed out of my reach, and I have been fortunate enough to live a few of them. And today I want to talk about how today's theme, the order in chaos, and especially the chaos part, has played a very crucial role behind all of this. But it of course took me time, a lot of years to understand and embrace the chaos, to willingly invite discomfort into my life. Like at first glance, anyone would think like, why would anyone do that? Why would anyone want to be uncomfortable? To answer that question, I first need to understand why you travel 3 kilometers faster than you travel 1 kilometer. That sounds very impossible until, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the region beta paradox. So by definition, it is a psychological phenomenon where the situation or any situation is just tolerable. It is not so bad, it is mildly uncomfortable, can prevent people from taking action, while a worse or an intensely uncomfortable situation can serve as a catalyst for necessary change. For example, if you want to travel 1 kilometer, you will probably walk. It will take you what, 20 minutes? But when you have to travel 3 kilometers or more, you will probably take a cab or an auto and you'll reach there in 10 minutes. So in theory, you are traveling 3 kilometers much faster than 1 kilometer. Now it is not just on paper, not just in maths, it can also be in your personal life. Imagine your partner is slightly toxic. He or she gaslights you once in a while. It's not that bad. So chances are you will continue with that relationship. But if he or she is extremely toxic and is making your life very miserable, you will get out of that relationship as soon as possible. So if we zoom out of both of these problems, you will see that somehow scaling our discomfort, the chaos in our lives, somehow forced us to get to a better outcome at the end. By forcing us to change our whole approach to the problem. By scaling a problem, we somehow change our whole approach. And to achieve a higher order, we must go through that chaos. But people around us are generally not a big fan of changing approaches, trying new things. Because throughout my life and throughout, I'm pretty sure most of your lives, you have been instructed to chase order, chase stability, chase comfort. They would say, son, you need to ace your board exams and your life will be sorted. My father even said, crack JEE, your life will be golden. And the last thing I ever heard was, get a job, get a good paying job, and you will have nothing else to worry about. And it keeps going. As someone who has done all of this, let me tell you that, yes, there is some truth to that. Life does get a little complacent, a little comfortable, a little sorted when all of these things are done. You become acting like a nascent electron sitting in an orbital. You will essentially stay there for eternity unless something from the outside interferes. But if that nascent electron is given some energy, it grows restless, grows unstable, until it finally jumps to a higher orbital and rests there. It finds order, but just at a higher level. But I have, just like this electron, wanted more out of life. And for that, I needed to invite a little bit of chaos, a little bit of discomfort. The first time I did this was when I started making videos in the first year of college. Anyone in this auditorium, if you know me because I did this about 6 years ago. Now, making videos and facing the camera was not at all easy. I am someone coming out of an all-boys school. I'm someone who is crippling with social anxiety, cannot talk to people. And this was not a very big problem when I was back in school. It was again tolerable. But stepping into college, moving to a new city, a new campus, among a new group of people, and seeing them make friends, I tell you, I had not made any single friends in my first month of college, beg your pardon, and I was scared that it will just be like this. Suddenly, this small tolerable problem had become an extreme discomfort into my life. I was scared for the first time. And to answer this question of social anxiety and self-esteem, I started filming myself, putting myself out there the only way I could. I started talking to the camera. Now, anyone in this room who has ever talked to the camera know how uncomfortable it can get. But willingly inviting this in discomfort has paid dividends, multiple dividends over the year. See, I just wanted to make friends. I just wanted to improve my communication skills and make friends. I did not just make friends. I made money. I got some internet recognition. I got invited to colleges like IIT Delhi, BITS Pilani, BITS Goa, and now today I am here in front of all of you. And it's almost like I am being rewarded by the universe for picking a harder battle that I did not need to pick. Another instance of this happens is when I am in 5th semester. Every engineer knows 5th semester is about grinding to get your first internship because it is going to help you build a stronger CV for when you sit for placements. And by this time I had a few friends. I was making videos quite regularly and I was also preparing for internships. Now you can probably tell how the 5th semester goes. I already had academics, YouTube and internship preparation simultaneously. And during all this hassle, it would be an absolute worst idea for two of my friends and me to start our first service business. If you were knees deep into the internet in 2021, you would know that it was a great year for crypto and NFTs, cryptocurrencies. And we had figured out, sitting in our hostel rooms, how to make NFTs, how to mint them, how to make those websites, and how to sell them to our clients. And without going into much details, it was great business. The first time of us seeing good amount of money, like good enough money to pay all of our college fees. Even if you wanted to do masters, we had enough money. It was life-changing in a way, but it had the worst timing possible because we were literally sleeping for months on end. We were literally sleeping 4 to 5 hours a day. We were going to classes in the morning, we were solving late code problems in the evening and making NFTs after dinner. And it sounds pretty miserable, and physically it was pretty miserable, but me and my friends, we had never felt more alive. Somehow this chaos, this uncertainty and everything was pushing us further. Now I could keep telling you about more instances about how I have invited discomfort by quitting my job and so on, but I don't want to bore you. You and I, we are all smart enough to see the pattern and understand where this is going. But while I was writing this 2-3 days back, what fascinated me more is the origin of it. Where did this trait come from? Where exactly did I learn this? And I thought about it. I thought for a few days, and I realized, I remembered the story of this very smart young man in a village who was the top of his class, but intellect has only so much to do in a rural setting. At least at that very old age. The resentment towards all of this grew and turned into agony. It turned into envy towards the big cities and the people of the cities. How come they get to be in high-rise apartments and fancy restaurants and English medium premium schools? Why don't I get to do that? And this is again unpleasant, very unpleasant, but it was tolerable. And as years passed, this tolerable thing became something else until he had a son. He understood that his son is only going to serve the same fate. Just like him, his son would always be at a disadvantage, and night after night he would look for ways to break away. Slowly but gradually that small tolerable pain became extreme. But as I said, he was smart. But that could not afford for him to pay for a premium school. But I said, he was smart, top of his class. The man chose to do the next best thing. He would go to the nearest city and buy second-hand ICSE books for his kid. And see, all he ever wanted was for his son to get out of that village. And today, to see his son standing on stage in a reputed institution, I have verified. I called him and verified. He is the proudest man on this planet. Ever since I was a child, I have seen my dad not settle for the hand dealt to him. He has found unorthodox ways, taking shots at things that were normally out of his reach. See, much before Harvey Specter taught me anything, my father taught me that there are always 147 different ways out of a situation, and we need to push through it because life is this. We like this. And to achieve that, his solution at that time was to buy second-hand ICSE books every year and teach them to me simultaneously. Now, before you get impressed by all of this, let me tell you, this man does not understand English. I have seen him take spoken English classes during the weekends. I have seen both of my parents study the exact same books as me, just so they can basically teach me properly the next day. And other than this whole thing giving me a new level playing field when I'm sitting for nationwide exams, as I have done multiple times in my life, my parents have also taught me a way of living and basically to never settle in my life. And that has backfired pretty quickly on them. See, all they ever wanted was to, get into an IIT, get a good job, that's it, settle. I did the first part really, really well, very perfectly, but just like my parents, I did not settle for the hand dealt to me. I quit my job last year and started a company about 8-9 months back, and we have already scaled it to 8 figures in revenue. Good degree, parents are happy, I own a business, and I am a YouTuber. I'm pretty sure a lot of you wanted to be YouTubers at some point in your life, and I'm living that. But here's the problem, I am not settling yet. I still want more out of life. I want to break barriers for my parents. I want to tell my parents' story to the world. I want to tell a lot of stories to the world. I want to break the barriers inside my mind as well. I want to run a marathon next year. I am actually pitching to 3 different companies about this whole idea of me running a marathon next year. Now you might think, what is the big deal? A lot of people run marathons. Wait till you hear this. Out of all the things, I'll tell you a little secret. Out of all the things a person could suck at, I suck at breathing. I have suffered from asthma ever since I was a very little kid. I have suffered from a lot of asthma attacks. I could not even sleep when at night in winters. I would literally sleep during the day and stay up night, wheezing through the night for years. But what asthma also meant is that I have never run a single race in my life, not even in a sports meet, school, anywhere. And suddenly I want to run a 42-kilometer marathon. I must be out of my mind. Do you guys think I can do it? I love the positivity, but here is the best part. With my logical thinking, I don't even think I can do it. Because the thought of me running out of air in the middle of a road when hundreds of people are watching, when me getting an asthmatic and crumpling onto the ground, that scares me to death. And that is exactly why I will start this particular mission from the very first day of the next year. And very similarly, that's exactly why after thinking of all those 16 ways I could bail out of this event, all the 16 ways I could not be here on stage right now, I would be comfortable sitting in my home under my blanket, I am still here because this scares me to death. And I will keep doing this over and over again because I know this will pay dividends. Thank you.